This is blind reality. The dark bowl sky said that the night held a secret. The stars were shining as usual, but even in the warm summer heat, it was cold in a sense, a subconscious sense. A blackish gray shadow lurked in the mystic land of the lost. He moved silent, swiftly, and expeditiously down the valley of forsaken predators and living calamities. Like a stealth fighter jet, he moved unseen and undetected by human eye, law radar, animal sense, and even the rays of light. He moved in all-black camouflage from street to street, getting closer and closer to his target. He carried a nickel-plated assault weapon for the termination purpose. Thirsty for bloodshed and hungry for brain fragments. Speed of a cheetah, mind of a jackal, and cover of a chameleon. He was on a mission to destroy his primary target and enemy. Finally, he was 3 houses away and hidden by a pine tree, bushes, and night cover. Perfect vision of the 3 prey who are within seconds of meeting the Grim Reaper. The street and whole area was quiet and calm as a holiday evening. The timing was perfect, and so was the position. He was about to win, watching the 3 dead men sitting on their patio chairs in the driveway, having their Friday night drinks, laughing away and smoking cigars without a worry. After all, they are big timers and hotshots and heavily armed themselves. However, not even the artillery of China can help him at this moment, for a red beam already rests on the middleman's Adam's apple. First, he will expel 1 round of lava-hot silver from the cannon barrel straight through the middleman's throat, piercing his neck tissue, punching through his esophagus and windpipe, smashing them against his spine as that shatters and the jugular arteries and veins were sliced open and the back of his neck explodes outward, sending fried and cooked meat, ligaments, bone marrow, and nerve endings to paint the blacktop and house siding as the blood boils from the heat and the slug shattered and broke into multiple pieces that cooked the inside of what used to be his neck, leaving a hole 50 millimeters in diameter due to the hollow pointed round that hit like a sledgehammer, knocking him backwards to fall as a corpse to an omega on the driveway that fractured the back of his skull from the force, weight, and speed at which he collapsed. Half a second later, he will have the red beam placed on the left pectoral of the left-hand man beside the middleman. Now, a mini cannonball will hit and implode the chest of the left-hand man, burning through muscle tissue, then hitting the rib cage, but going through that, crushing it out of the way. A quarter of the slug breaks off and bounces around, puncturing the lungs, liver, large intestine, stomach, and eventually stopping in an artery that will move along with the bloodstream and will slowly cut up his remaining inside infrastructure. The rest of the silver caused the left and right ventricles to burn, burst, and shred. It kept on pushing as hard as it could and finally erupted to the back, taking with it chunks of bone, half of the right atrium, and 4 ounces of liquid life. The second ball hit him in the right ear, spreading his cerebellum and membrane on the blacktop, first, second, and third steps of the staircase of the house, leaving him with 3/4 of a head. The eyeballs turned black from the shock of the hemorrhage. The broken bottle and spilled beer is met by blood, and his lip now touches the pebbles on the hard ground. By this time, 3.5 seconds have passed, and the beam will now send Flight 004 on a kamikaze mission to do the same to the right-hand man. The pin hits and out it goes with the speed of lightning cutting through the air, the heat of magma, and the force of an Amtrak at full speed. It breaks through the glass cup in front of his chest and detonates in the dead center, pushing, pulling, grinding, molding, and shocking every living organism interfering with its path. 1 ice cube that the glass contained falls in between his lap and the other hits his right Nike shoe. It kept going and was victorious, for his back threw up 4 discs of spinal cord that had a rude exit and took with them white blood cells, stomach lining, chunks of tar that his lungs detained from the years of smoking, and many other unidentifiable debris. It hit with such force that it knocked the wind out of his lungs before leaving and blew his soul out of his body before his back could even embrace with the suds of spilled liquid and eroded rocks and driveway. Then after making it affirmative that the mission is complete, he will retreat without a trace, and only God will know he was responsible for such chaos and fatalities until Judgment Day. That was his plan, and now he's ready to deploy. He hears them laughing and conversating, takes one last look around to see if he is alone. 65 feet away they sit unaware of the ambush, not knowing they are about to beg the Lord to enter the gates of heaven, knowing they are unworthy and have very slim chances of eternal glory. The beam is set on the middleman's Adam's apple and the circled scope stares at him. This professional assassin is about to engage in an ordinary chess game. The time has come for these three prizes to be opened up and conquered. No intention of mercy is to be shown. One last breath is taken and the trigger finger begins to pull back. Out of nowhere, the thought of a crying mother, children, and loving family flashes before him. He releases his finger and experiences a turbulent-like disturbance. That never happened to him before. He takes in a deep breath and exhales. One more try, he thinks to himself. He concentrates on his target and becomes extremely frustrated. Thou shalt not murder flashes through him. The grief and agony of the praised mother and loved ones stabs him in the heart. He truly hates these three characters. They've done against him and his comrades. Revenge is something he has been waiting for patiently for so long, but his heart is becoming soft and he is beginning to feel. He visualizes the middleman's 7-year-old child crying right beside the corpse. The wife or girlfriend holding up what is left of the left-hand man's head, sobbing, weeping, rocking back and forth from the pain and shock of unacceptable reality with blood-covered hands. Come back, baby. Come back. Daddy. No, Daddy. The navigator tries again but becomes upset and can't do it. So he retreats and flees with no trace, leaving the three alive and still unaware. He wanted to do it but he couldn't. So to this day they live and never think that that night could have been their last. But he saved them and let them live. Guess what, reader? Guess what, listener? That middleman was you. It was you and your two best friends. Your life was in the hands of another person and you didn't know the whole time. But he let you live. You could be gone, but you're alive. You might have pulled it, but he didn't have the heart to, so you remain breathing to this very moment. So, do you ever think you're not blessed? Don't ever say that God's never been there for you. He just didn't show you. You may not know because you were unaware, but it has happened to you, maybe even more than once. So don't ever think you're not blessed. Vessel Daniel Amaro, author Jehovah God.